Welcome to today's conversation. These conversations started over dinners where I get to introduce everyone at the table in a way that interests me. Dinner is always fun, sometimes useful, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it's fun or useful. It's just the fact that we're all there, connecting, and making sure that we can see what's coming round the corner. And the next thing we've got to do is to stay in touch with each other. Yes, we've all ended up having dinner parties where we've met people who have made new jobs, and we've got new contacts for work. For me, these have just been a way over the last 17 years to get to know some fabulous people who are always a little bit senior, a little bit fun, and a little bit smarter, brighter, shinier than most. Today, we're meeting with Deborah Gbadamosi, a global client lead at Mindshare, an entrepreneur on the inside of WPP who is bringing the best ad tech and media tech to life for global and local brands. She's also a champion for diversity in a world that seems to be making it harder to keep diversity, equality, and inclusion on the agenda. Deb is an awesome person to know, and I hope you'll agree after this interview.
This episode is brought to you by jobsandadtech.com, the only jobs board dedicated to digital media and the ad tech industry. If you're hiring now, use promo code JWPOD, JWPOD, for a 10% discount on any package. Jobsandadtech.com, it's where ad techers go to find their next role.
Deb, hello.
Hello.
I'd love to jump straight in, if I may, and ask you to tell me something that has caught your eye in the news this week.
To be honest, I was reading about TruthSets. I saw this in, I think it was, I want to say Ad Age. And I thought it was quite interesting, actually. So basically, there's an organization that set themselves up to qualify company data. So that if you're an advertiser or a brand and you want to use the data to do targeting, it is already scored and qualified, so you know what kind of data you're getting. So the ratings are AAA, which means excellent quality data, AA, which is good quality data, A, which is okay, and B, which is poor, right? So you know that the data sets that you're using have been pre-qualified, and actually you're getting a better way of reaching audiences. And it's like, you know, demographic data essentially, and there's a little bit of ethnographic data or ethnic data in there, so you get a sense of who you're reaching, household income, ethnic background, etc. And I thought it was quite interesting. I think it's good for brands, it's good for business.
Is it for insights or activation?
It's for activation. So you can buy the data sets and then target against them. So basically, the idea is that you reduce media waste because you're not really targeting low quality segments. And then
I'm smiling because I love how we're always trying to reduce media waste, but the wastage gets ever bigger anyway.
Well, the thing is, it gets more fragmented, doesn't it? Marketplace gets more fragmented. It gets even harder to reach consumers because you're just like, how there's a million ways to reach them, and I don't even know if I'm really going through or cutting through all of this noise. So I think having the qualifier of whether or not this is good quality data is good. The only downside is that it's US-centric, so it's very US-centric data. It hasn't scaled outside of the US yet. But
that's so often the way. There's so many fabulous things that start in the US, and then we try and replicate them elsewhere. And being part of rest of world, as the Americans call us, it's exciting to see what is possible there, and then to see how it was over here. When you were just giving the grade system there, it reminds me of sort of the way schools are marked these days. Everything is, if B is poor and you start with AAA is good. What happened to CBE?
Yeah, exactly. If you do GCSEs, a 9 is high and a 1 is low, so that kind of tracks. But it's difficult.
Now, tell me, moving on to the next question. What are you up to these days that's helping people get ripped off less?
Well, looking at things like TruthSets. So just, I think there's a lot of work that we're doing to really justify the use of not AI for AI's sake, but AI for efficiency. So if you can drive AI for efficiency and increase productivity, then essentially you can drive down the cost of, the way that you're buying your media. Your non-working media dollars actually can get used towards your media to work a bit harder, because you're not spending that money just, I don't know, on more tech, on more people, on more, like, okay, we still need people, let's be clear, but they can funnel their time and effort into other things. And so actually that helps your working media dollars to work harder. So that's one of the things we're looking at, really, is just how to make non-working media dollars work harder and put more of them towards your media dollars.
One of the things that you're known for, not just being the global media lead across massive great accounts, it's also the DE&I initiatives within the business. Now that has fallen off the wayside in some parts of the world. Still a key thing in this part of the world, I would argue. Has it changed a lot in the last 100 days since somebody's been in the president's seat?
Yes. Yeah, quite significantly. I think, to be fair, it's been coming for a little while. I used to work at a company called Brand Advance. Shout out Chris Kenner. And while I was there, Chris and I were seeing that, and this was like 2023. We were already seeing the shift away from dollars being put towards reaching underrepresented audiences, and that the traction and the interest and all the promises financially to really support the minority community groups had just dropped off the wayside, right? Fast forward 2 years, now it's sort of hit the mainstream. And you're seeing the effects of it in everywhere. So, things like the way people are being employed or not being employed, the way that we're spending our money, the initiatives that we're backing, the things that we're prioritizing or not prioritizing, the fact that a lot of organizations have disbanded with all of their DE&I efforts. Now, personally, I feel like, and I had always said this in the beginning of this kind of journey, was that we should get it right. If we get it right, we would engineer our way out of a role, because we would have integrated so many good policies and processes that it would become a mainstay way of working, and we wouldn't necessarily need to have someone continuously championing. But I think we've pivoted too quickly, and we're just easily dismantling all the things that we've put in place. So it's definitely changing, even in the UK, at the rate than we would like.
I see that Chris has had to shut his New York office and has opened up, as only Chris could, find a way around it to open up in Jamaica. He's that's what I read, I think, yesterday on LinkedIn. Okay. I haven't put up with him on it. I will in due course, I think. This market is changing. Where are we going, though, in the next few months, years? How can we do something differently to help people recognize smaller community groups that are underrepresented, unfairly unrepresented?
I mean, we have to just keep doing what we have been doing. So keep all your initiatives alive, continue to find and support those people who have been underrepresented in the past, and continuously support them. And that could be, buying their business, using their services. No one is asking for charity or handouts. It's really just about making sure that they are part of a roster, especially if you think about media. You've got a lot of minority-owned, or, well, we'll call them minority-owned organizations for now. So if you're a media owner, let's say, and you have you're 50% or more owned by someone from an underrepresented group, you've got Class A shares in your business, then you are a minority-owned and operated organization. And if you're working in media or selling ad space, you tend to fall off the chart because most advertisers want to go with the bigger, more well-known, arguably more reputable organizations. So those smaller audience or smaller businesses fall off the track. And that in itself is an issue because now those people aren't able to, fund their organization, fund their business, feed their kids, do the right thing. And all because actually we're sticking to what we supposedly know and not necessarily trying to reach new people in new places and support new organizations. So I think it's just about don't give up now, guys. It's not the time. Spend the money with people who can give you the good reach against audiences who do have money to spend and who are willing to buy your brands.
Fair. Thank you. I'd love to jump to the third section of our chat today, which I call a high five. So this is a quick fire round. I would love to hear from you an answer to each of these lines. First up, your hero.
My dad. I know that's a bit trite, but it really is in terms of, because you said my hero overall, right? Just in terms of people who are good at not getting you ripped off. He's great at that. My dad is just amazing. His whole philosophy in life is I don't buy things cheap. I don't buy cheap things. I buy things cheap. So he's always trying to avoid being ripped off, but also providing the quality that is required. And I just take that learning on board and just apply it in life in general. It's just like, do the right thing, keep the costs down, but make sure you're having a good time with it. So yeah, long answer. Daddy.
Awesome. Your best decision.
Coming on and having a chat with you, James. Today's best decision.
Oh, bless you. Your worst decision. If you say the same thing, I'll be very
My worst decision was wearing a t-shirt, not realizing that this thing was going to be recorded with video. So I known
you look well dressed at all stages, Deb. I've not seen you anything better than the best dressed in the office. Your funniest moment.
That's a good one. I think this week's funniest moment was going to a 60th birthday party, which honestly, I don't know how I got this old that I get invited to 60th birthday parties, but whatever. And then finding the pub next door and watching the Eubank and Conor Ben fight. It was, and we just had so much fun. I lost my voice, screaming and shouting, had a great time. Not a boxing fan, but that was definitely spectacular showmanship. So I had a lot of fun more than funny.
I was talking to somebody else about this on one of these podcasts, and he was saying that it's about the narrative, the lead up to it. And I was going, actually, it's like a wrestling match, the way it's sort of staged, the whole thing.
For sure.
And okay, that's very good. I love the fact you go to the party, but actually the pub next door is the entertaining. And one more person. So I'm going to ask you to recommend one more person for me to speak to on the podcast. But to come to the podcast, you have to come to a dinner. So someone you think you can introduce me to, and you already have introduced me to some fabulous people that I look forward to getting to the next dinner. Someone you think you can introduce me to that you can tell me about today, and can you tell me why they're interesting, and also what's the angle that you see in them that most people don't?
Right. So I've thought long and hard about this. My recommended person is a lady called Shakayla Forbes Bell. She is a fashion psychologist. She's one of the very first Black female fashion psychologists in the UK. And she is also a bit of a marketing genius, I would say. She's written a book called Big Dress Energy. So she's got a lot of knowledge. She does a lot of television appearances on This Morning. I think she's across the US as well. So she's got a lot of traction. She's good quality. And I think she's got an interesting backstory, which is not my story to tell. So that's the reason you should go and talk to her and see if you can find out what it is. So yeah.
Thank you. I look forward to, and I'm going to ask you to send us an intro. thank you very much for coming on today, Deb. I look forward to catching up with you shortly.
Same. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.